Hello and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. I am your guest host, CamiBaker.com, and today I have one of my new friends from LinkedIn. It just goes to show that even though social media has made us some of the most anti-social people ever, when you use social media to your advantage, you can meet some awesome people. So I reached out to Jess, a 3 months ago when we decided it would be a good idea to share our tribes. So Jess, please introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Jess Reidell, aka Ageless Jess, and I actually work as an intuitive life coach here in Atlanta, Georgia. I have an office that's here in my home state, and I also work remotely with people around the globe.
Nice. And there's always a great story as to how someone becomes a coach. So what's that story for you?
Oh, great question. Well, this was kind of a pivotal moment in my life. I was sitting with my husband across the dinner table on my 45th birthday. And at the time I was working in corporate America, and he looked across the table at me and he said, "How does it feel to be halfway to 90?" And Cami, I'll tell you something. That was a wake-up call for me. It just, it sort of it forced me to take an inventory of my life and realize that I wasn't happy on the path I was on, that I was just kind of grinding it out, sort of the golden handcuff of the biweekly paycheck. I didn't really feel like I was serving humanity for the greater good. And I just felt like I was meant to do more. Mm-hmm. I realized I'd been playing small. And, he didn't realize that innocuous, or what he thought was an innocent question, would set into motion a whole chain of events. But here we are almost 4 years later, and I've been in business for 3. So I got things in gear pretty fast. I took a coach training. It was like an 8-month telecourse through Martha Beck. And here we are. So I love what I'm doing right now. And it's great to be able to say that. And it's great to be able to say that I work for myself.
Yay! I say all the time, I am absolutely unemployable. Totally unemployable.
I'm starting to feel the same way.
Yeah. And at the same time, we can't stay isolated. We get out there and we meet and do our thing to attract our right clients. And so you have attracted being on this TV show. So tell us, who are you looking to attract?
Oh, that's such a great question. I want to work with people like myself who feel that they're meant for more. I have the element of mysticism that plays into my work, that I sort of went on a journey of discovery and sort of fell back in love with, all of the mystical elements, the cycles of the moon, the sage, the cool things. And I have found that a lot of corporate misfits are actually corporate mystics, but they're closet mystics because they're kind of hiding that mystic energy because it is not accepted in the mainstream corporate environment. So they keep it kind of tucked in a closet at home, and they bring out their oracle cards after they've had a bad day, but nobody at work knows about that side of themselves. And many of these people are actually cut out to be doing having similar soul-based businesses to my own, where there is some specific medicine that they have to serve other people with that they just haven't quite tapped into yet.
Well, you mentioned about the question that your husband asked and how that got you thinking, but that didn't really play into the whole intuitive part. So you took a coaching course and you're now a coach, but how did you know that you had the intuitive part?
Oh, well, that's interesting. And here's the phenomenon of it is actually everyone is intuitive. What happens is that when we're sort of playing on this 3D stage, we never slow down long enough or get quiet enough to start listening to our own intuition. And a lot of people confuse their intuition with fear, because your ego kind of likes to talk to you all day long in more of a fear state. So while I was taking the coaching course, I really sort of went on a path of following my intuition. And I got quiet enough where I could actually hear it and realized I was very clairaudient, and that I would get messages, from, who knows, God, angels, universe, universal intelligence, my higher self. So once I was able to get quiet and do that, that sort of guided me on a very divine path. And I'm able to share that magic with my clients and teach them how to do that for themselves.
So give us a story of someone that you've worked with, where they were, what process you went through, and what they're doing now.
Oh, I would love to talk about one of my most recent clients, and she's still working in corporate, so she will remain unnamed, but let's just talk about her, to protect her privacy. She found me online on my website, agelessjess.com, and really resonated with some of my rhetoric. And she was one of the closet mystics, she was the incense burning, doing all the things. And she called up and she actually invested in my 4-month package, and we started working together. And she was in corporate America. She is in corporate America in IT. And she found herself getting very angry, just on a daily basis, but she wasn't sure why. And I think she was having a similar midlife crisis to mine because she just turned 46. And we started working together. And there was some resistance because she knew she wanted to do something else, but she wasn't sure what it was. And we were doing a session one day, and I took her into a guided meditation, which is called a future life progression, where you actually get to meet yourself 20 years in the future. It's a very visual, beautiful meditation, and you get to sort of go into, the spirit world and sort of go into the energy field and visualize what you've created for yourself 20 years in the future. And it's pretty phenomenal, some of the things that you can see. So after the meditation, I began to ask her some questions, so what, here 20 years in the future, what are you known for? What sorts of things are you doing with your time? And at first she got a little blocked and a little bit stuck, but then she began to sort of open up, and she realized that it's always been a dream of hers to study metaphysics. So she has gone back to school to get a PhD in metaphysics. She wants to lecture in metaphysics, and she also wants to open a metaphysical shop in the North Georgia mountains. So this is someone that was feeling like they were going to be stuck in IT forever, stuck in this corporate grind. And she has released herself and has a plan and is on a path that she's so joyful about. So we finished our time together. We're continuing to work together on a month-to-month basis, but I couldn't be prouder of her progress.
I love the name Corporate Mystics. I think there's a whole company around that. There's just a whole movement, if you will.
Yeah. That's funny you said that. The name of my LLC is actually Mystic Mavens. So it dawned on me over 2 years ago that I needed to put the word mystic in my business. Yeah.
So what do you do to encourage and enhance and develop your intuition and your mystical side?
Oh, I love this question. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, Cami. There's so many interesting things you can do. Meditation is definitely one of them. Also, just listening to your body cues. There's a tool I teach as well called the body compass, where you're able to take yourself into a sense memory of something positive that happened and notice the way that your vibration changes when you're thinking of something happy and positive. And then there's the way in which, if you go to a negative space, how that negatively impacts your body. And you can begin to use your body as there's just kind of a human pendulum, a human compass, to make decisions, because your mind will lie to you all day long, but your body never does. So, in really learning to tune in, and like I said, most people are intuitive. It's not like I'm showing up and saying, I have intuition and you don't, and too bad you didn't get that gift. It can be developed in all of us. And I think not enough people are sharing that because they like to think of themselves as being special for having these gifts. But really, anybody who wants to develop their intuition can do so.
Are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
I love her. Yes. And love Chris channeling. Yeah. Good stuff all the while. I have both books.
Yeah. She was just here in Boston. They come they go to Atlanta too, but they talk about the emotional guidance, scale. And so just what you were just speaking of made me think of that. So what kind of stuff do you have coming up? Are you a speaker? Do you get on stages? Are you filling a group program? Are you looking for one-on-ones? Share with me.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of like all of the above. I've got a lot of things going on right now. I'm speaking locally to groups. There's a local beauty school that has me in. And the topic that I show up to discuss there is customer service, but I kind of flip the script on them because I show up and they think I'm going to lecture them about how to give other people great customer service. And the presentation is usually how they need to take care of themselves first in order to really be of consequence and show up in the way that they need to show up to give great customer service. So they love that talk. So I do some talks. I love my one-on-one work, and I think that is some of my most powerful work, and that can be delivered via phone or Skype. I do have some monthly group programs that have different levels, and they're going to be rebranded next year. It's called Move Your Magic Meter. So I have Move Your Magic Meter level 1, 2, and 3, where I teach a lot of the body compass, the intuitive tools, and then also some new things for moving through fear, and then quantum shifting your reality in terms of like figuring out your desires and speeding up the process to pull those into the now. So I have Move Your Magic Meter, and then I also have a version of Move Your Magic Meter that is a 6-month sisterhood mastermind. So a lot of great things going on with my business right now, but I'm really, the one-on-one work is near and dear to my heart because I think that's what brings about some of the biggest transformation.
1,000%. I love Move Your Money Magic Meter. It's all
Magic
good.
Meter.
I seem to alliterate everything. I just before you and I came on was interviewing one of my mentors, Emerald Peaceful Green Forest, and she used to alliterate everything. We would just be talking, having lunch, riding in the car, and everything was just always so alliterated and just flowed. And I would say, I wish I could do that. That's so cool. And about 3 years ago, I started doing it. She said, the torch has been passed.
It's fun to play with words for sure. I love it.
And I love to hear other people's story. You know, I was an entrepreneur when I was 8 years old. I was selling gum to other kids for a profit and then became a loan shark with that money for high interest and holding collateral. So I've always been entrepreneurial. But then, you know, there's someone like yourself who was in corporate America and you got called forth a little bit later in life. So it's just so wonderful how, you know, those of us who are on this path, you know, we migrate around and we find each other, you know?
We do. You know, your story reminds me a little bit, this is really kind of an aside, but you'd love my husband because when he was a kid, he actually went and pulled up vegetables from a man's garden and then went around with his wheelbarrow to the front door and sold them to the man whose garden it was. You guys would have gotten along great.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll bet he would answer the question because people say to me, selling gum to other kids, like, how did you even think of that? And I think, how could you not think of that? How do you not see when people want something and you can provide it and make a profit from it? That's entrepreneurialism at its finest. And I'm sure your husband probably would say the same thing. How could you not see that? How could you not? You know, the guy likes vegetables. He's growing them in the backyard.
And the man bought them, you know, he probably thought it was just a good example of initiative. So
you know,
I love it.
I meet all these wonderful people like yourself that are in other parts of the country, and I feel like if you and I lived in the same town, we'd be girlfriends. We'd be going to lunch and hanging out at Panera's and making prospecting calls together and putting together funnels and stuff. So are you going to do any kind of podcasting or any kind of a Facebook Live series or radio show or anything yourself?
Great question again. Well, I have a private Facebook group that I have been curating for over 2 years now. It's called Mystic Lemonade. For any listeners that have that mystic, bug that's biting, or that they're already sort of, or maybe just wanting to explore your intuition or your mystic gifts, that is a great group. And I have a lot of Facebook Lives and teachings that I've done over the last 2 years in that group. I have guested on a lot of podcasts. I have not yet created my own, but that is not off the table because I think that there's so much to talk about. And the more I work and the more I have, you know, great stories to share about how I'm able to get these clients from A to B. And I'm the catalyst for that. I mean, they do the work, they do the transformation. I just hold the space for them and give them the guidance to do the things that they do. Because really, and I know this sounds corny, Cami, but I think you'll appreciate it. All the answers are really inside of us. Sometimes we need somebody to snake charm them out.
You're the snake charmer. I love that. Well, you know, the reason why you and I are communicating is because I have a TV show and now I have a radio show, and it gives me a reason to reach out and contact people. Hey, you want to be on my show? So I would offer up to you that you don't need a studio, you don't need a TV or a radio. Facebook Lives, you know, you could, 1 hour from now, you could call somebody and say, hey, you want to be on my Facebook Live series? And it's just a great way to break the ice, to build relationships. And of all the interviews that I've done between my Fabulous, Fierce, and on Fire Fridays that I did on Facebook Live, and now the TV show, and now the radio show that I'm doing again, I've interviewed probably 200 people that are, you know, all different kinds of experts and authorities. And there's just so much yummy information out there that when you do a show, there's all these benefits. You get free coaching in the moment, and you make great relationships too.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've done some live interviews inside of my Facebook group, but I admire your tenacity. I think it's great the way that you're branching out. And, you know, honestly, I was doing some outreach on LinkedIn when we met, and I was so glad that you connected. But of, you know, the many hundred people I tried to connect with, I met some great people. I think those were the people I was meant to meet. But I got a lot of resistance too, where people just seem very closed off and not wanting to connect with new people, which is unfortunate, because that's sort of like an intuitive piece, you know, following the breadcrumbs that lead you to the connections that are going to help you rise. And I think that's really like huge in the way that we came together. And look at us, here we are a few months later on your show talking about magic and mysticism and coaching and transformation. And, you know, there's people that are blocking that from their lives. And then they wonder why their lives aren't getting better, but they're not in receiving mode to all the things that are showing up. It's kind of like that story of the man in the flood where, you know, the helicopter comes by, or the boat comes by. He's like, no, God will save me. And then the helicopter comes. He's like, God's going to save me. And then he drowns. And he's like, God, why didn't you save me? And it's like, I sent you the boat and the helicopter. Why didn't you get in? You know, what's wrong? Well, like where you're not seeing it right in front of you.
Well, you know, and I'm just going to give a plug for purpose leverage marketing that I talk about all the time, because that's my niche. Because you're so right. People are resistant. There has never been, it's an epidemic of people who have a hard time communicating with other people. You go to all these events and everybody's throwing cards out and grabbing cards and leaving with their stack of cards and all this card collecting, but no business building or relationship building. And one of the reasons why purpose leverage marketing is so awesome is when you can partner your purpose with your passion and your profession and make money while you make a difference. There's a way that you can reach out to all those people about something that you're doing in the world. So for example, who is a perfect client for you?
Great question. Perfect client for me is someone that is just fed up with the corporate grind. She's the woman that feels like a misfit in the corporate world, that's just tired of the daily feedback. She's feeling overwhelmed. She's probably feeling like she's doing the job of 2 or 3 or 4 people, and not feeling like she has time for her relationships, not feeling like she has time to slow down long enough to hear herself think or listen to those intuitive nudges and whispers, but really craves a more meaningful life, and perhaps a simpler life with more spaciousness, more freedom, more joy, and a different career success path. Because I think at the very core of it, people feel like, you know, hanging on to those corporate jobs and those benefits is the only way to make a living, and it's just not true.
Amen.
It's not true.
Amen to that. So when you think about someone like that, and this lady who is a CEO or upper management or in marketing or VP of sales or whatever she is, this is why this works so beautiful. So imagine if you're doing something for Dress for Success. I'm sure they have those in Atlanta or something similar. And you're doing an event for Dress for Success, and your goal is to gather up 500 gently used suits and shoes and jewelry, and you're going to have this big gathering of women that are all going to bring their gently used suits and celebrate, you know, their life and their business. And so now that you're doing this and you're doing something on purpose and you're helping women that are in transition, because that's what Dress for Success is all about. It's about helping women transition from unemployed to employed, or employed to getting a promotion, or, you know, having a job and going to have a business. They help these women in transition. So imagine if you partnered with somebody like that and you're doing something with Dress for Success, and now now you, Jess, have a reason in a way to walk into any business, pick up any phone from LinkedIn, do any post on Facebook to say, hey, Mary, hey, listen, I'm doing this thing with Dress for Success. We're looking for women just like you who are going to have a couple of gently used suits that maybe you don't wear anymore. I want to let you know what we're doing coming up in March, blah, blah, blah. And ultimately, you're gathering up the suits. You're helping the women that are in transition. You're gathering them funds and awareness and all that fun stuff. And you're talking to 1,000 of your perfect client without being icky and salesy.
You know what? You're amazing. You just gave me like a whole like business plan for a quarter that I could follow. And I think that is an intuitive sign. That was my boat or my helicopter that just came down, and I'm going to be looking into that, and I will follow up with you, Mamacita.
Well, you know, other people are intuitive. We all have our different gifts, and my gift truly is when I know what you're passionate about and I know who your ideal client is, I come up with these campaigns and I get the download and I have to give birth to it. I have to share it, you know, and you know, it's a great idea, but there's so much more strategy. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. So we've got about 5 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about what are some things that you would suggest to people to do to nurture and enhance their own intuition and their own mystic side.
Okay, I'm going to say the M word. Don't panic. It's meditation. Okay. I think that meditation is a huge portal to accessing the clairaudience that you need from your higher self. And this is coming from a person that didn't used to believe in meditation. I really actually thought it was a bunch of crap. I thought I had all these judgments about it. I thought it was something that people said they did to somehow appear like spiritually superior to myself. I mean, this is probably 5 years ago or so, you know, and until truly, until I went through coach training, I did not open my mind to just that vast resource that we have to spiritually allow ourselves to just be and get those downloads you're talking about. Some people are like, what are you talking about downloads? Are you crazy? No, but everybody can get a download. Once again, it's that intuitive piece when you just get quiet. There's another great trick that I want to share with your audience. And if there's a question that's pressing that you have on your heart, and I credit this to Martha Beck, because it is one of her tools that she taught, but I use it a lot when I'm in a situation where I need to make a decision and I need some intuitive guidance. You're going to hold the pen. You get a pen. Hold the pen in your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you hold it in your right hand. If you're left-handed, you hold it in your left hand. And you're going to ask the question while holding the pen in your dominant hand. You're then going to transfer the pen to your non-dominant hand. And allow that hand to write whatever comes through. And most likely you will hear something and you need to trust it, okay? You may write one word, you may write a sentence, you may write a paragraph or two. It's a little hard to read your handwriting when you're writing with your non-dominant hand, but that is just such a great way to access your intuitive side and your higher self.
Give an example, like an example of a question.
Okay, well, when I started my business, I asked a sort of a broad question, and I got a very ethereal answer, but it's something that I've ingrained. I was like, what do I need to do to make this happen faster? And I did the trick, and I'm left-handed, so I put the pen in my right hand, and what was written on the page, it didn't really even seem to come from my intellectual mind, Cami, but it was like, commit to progress no matter the speed. And it was sort of like that sort of ancient proverb about, you know, it doesn't matter if you're moving slowly. You're only going to lose ground if you're standing still, right? And that's become something I've really incorporated in that, you know, you really can't be behind on your own journey. And if there's something you're really meant to do, you can't really mess it up because eventually you're going to get there if you keep putting one foot in front of the other. I think a lot of people feel like failures early on when they start a business or they try to do something new. and they don't feel good at it and it's frustrating and they give up too soon. That can happen a lot. If it's truly something that's aligned with you and that's meant for you and that's in your heart and it's a passion and you want to bring it to life, just keep going.
As Abraham Hicks says, you can't get it wrong, and because you never, how they put it, you can't get it wrong because you never get it done. You're never going to get it done. You're always moving. It's not like you're coming to the end of something. You can't get it done because you're always doing. You're always moving forward.
And there is no there, right? There is no there.
I have to ask you, because you're talking about energy and doing different things with your body. Have you ever tried standing completely still and asking yourself, or making a statement? And when you make this, so like if I were to make the statement,
forward.
Lean forward or backward. Yeah. Do you do that?
That's another one of my tools. Yeah, it's a really good one.
I've heard of using your arm, for the resistance. That doesn't work so much for me. But when I use my body, I do. I lean forward when it's the truth. It's bizarre.
When it's the truth and when you're aligned with it. And sometimes there are things that that can still become your truth if you embody them. Just, beliefs about money, beliefs about different things. But you can do that trick and see if the belief is really embodied or if it's something that you need to still work on. Because you can take something that doesn't feel true now and make it true for you by embodying it.
You and I could talk for hours. Clearly, we've got about 30 seconds left. Is there anything you want to give to our viewers? Any freebie? Any offer of getting together on a call? What would you like to offer?
Oh, this is so exciting. Well, I do have my intuitive breakthrough session, which is it's a freebie. It's a great time. We get on the phone for about 20 to 30 minutes and we really get to the core of what it is you want, what it is you're afraid of, what's standing in the way, and what you'd truly be doing with your life if time and resources were no object. And then we really can get to the root of maybe a direction for you to start going in your own transformation. And it's not instant, but if people want to get out of corporate, this is a great session to sort of lay the groundwork for what they can do.
Nice. Well, I highly recommend that all of our viewers get a hold of Jess. Clearly, you have a fabulous energy. A lot of the times when I do a Skype interview, it's so kind of laid back and kind of melancholy. And you've given me a lot of beautiful energy. I want to thank you for that. I want to honor you for being on the show. We've come to an end, and you and I will be getting on the phone soon. Happiness Jungle. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Cami.